Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, Fantasy League of Ordinary Gentlemen. We have 2 weeks left to cover, but only 1 week of games, which means we have reached finals week here in 2024. We talked in the Christmas Day episode about everything that has got us here to the finals. We had some Christmas miracles. Some Christmas gifts were definitely delivered early. Maybe you're indifferent to your position. Maybe you're dreading the situation you are finding yourself in here in our Fantasy Gents finals. Nevertheless, that is what is happening. They are here, and we thank you for joining us. We hope you've enjoyed the season. I know I certainly have. Jonathan, has it been everything that you've hoped for and more? I know it was a tough semifinal loss, but nevertheless, I've asked people before, if you knew you were never going to win a championship and you see the kind of competitiveness, you see the fun we have, knowing you would never ever win a championship, would you still pay your money? Would you still come and play? And the answer almost unanimously is 100% yes. You do have some greedy bastards out there who are just in it for the money. Sad. It's sad because we have such an excellent time here in the Fantasy League of Ordinary Gentlemen. If you're having a good time too, take a moment, like and subscribe, and tell everybody about all the fun that we do get to have. Did we help you in your league? Did you just happen to enjoy everything that is going on? Did you just truly, let's be honest, it's just the sultry sounds of your Commissioner Joe Johnson coming through your listening device. Either way, whichever your reasoning for being here, we appreciate you taking the time, especially during the holidays. And you know what? I'm sitting around here acting like the season's over, like we're already in 2025. Hardly the case. Okay, we've got a whole game to preview, and next week a game to find out who our new champion is going to be, who is going to win best of the worst and get their choice of a pick for 2025, who is going to be this year's Forever Unclean. So, you already know, if you've made it this far, you're prepared. But just in case, let's lay down the ground rules. Push out all the distractions. No wife, no kids, no homework, no paperwork, no nothing. Okay, it's the holidays. You should be at home either, fat as a skunk in wintertime, or the kids should be sleeping out playing with the cousins. I don't know. You just find something to eat, find something to drink, turn up the volume. We've already covered that. And for the next hour, we're going to preview the Fantasy Gents finals. Let's take a look at our brackets real quick. And here, as we have the consolation bracket, and starting off at the very top, look who has a chance. He's going to get, both these owners will get their pick of a top 8, and we imagine, since you're going to finish in the top 2 no matter what, probably going to pick a top 3 placement in the draft in 2025. And who could walk away with that number 1 pick after botching their draft, who is not in a Forever Unclean match, but number 12, Forrest, Heart of the Cards Dozier, taking on the Cinderella Man. And I thought you would be here, Brock, and the scoring has been fantastic, but do not underestimate this opponent. We'll get more into that. We're just previewing the matchups right now in that second rung. So a chance, guys, if you're like me, top 3, bottom 3, this is a chance to get in the top 3 picks. Number 13, Joshua Johnson taking on number 10, Aaron Felch, and Josh finishing in the regular season second to last, injured reserves 4.0, waiver guru here at the end of the season, and puts it together to 2 wins in a row. It's what you needed. You did it. Now a big chance to, at least walk away with a top 4 pick in 2025. You escaped, gentlemen, the second to last rung of the ladder. You did just enough. You were either high enough on the ladder which really happens to be Jordan's situation, or you were able to at least get one win, and that is Evan Cole's number 11 taking on number 8, Jordan Payne. So, gentlemen, a big wipe of the brow. We're not where we could have been if things just didn't, go our way. Jordan, thankfully, you were that 8th seed, so no worries about dropping, even if you lost all 3 games. Unfortunately, that top 3 pick in 2025 has escaped you now, but still fighting. We don't want to be towards the end of those top 8. I hate being in the middle. Maybe you you like being in the middle, Jordan. Maybe you're indifferent, but hey, I'll say this. I drafted in the middle this year, and I'm in a championship game. So, hey, there's a lot to be said. It's not about really where you draft. Everybody likes their positioning and whatnot, but at the end of the day, it's your ability to put together a team. It's your ability to, make the right trades. And, of course, good and bad luck is going to factor into all of that. This year's 2024 Forever Unclean matchup featuring number 14. He finished last in the season. Not a big surprise that we see him here. Jack Little Raven. Only a surprise, not because of who you are, Jack, as a person, but because you're a shitty fantasy owner. Understand what it is. It's getting ready to happen, okay? And for the first time ever in his historic career, co-commissioner number 9, Aaron Grogg, finds himself in a potential forever unclean situation. I find myself in a potential needing a new co-commissioner situation, because God knows that I'm not going to allow a man who is forever unclean to be a co-commissioner of a league. That's just unacceptable. One cannot. We already know that in the battle of the Aarons in the finals, it was Mr. Felch. So maybe I just need to make co-commissioner Aaron Felch. That almost sounds a little bit better. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll break it down. But there is, gentlemen, your consolation ladder finals. We'll move up to the 3rd and 5th place games. Now, these are unfortunately a little bit of a purgatory match, but then the very important 3rd place match, who's going to get into some money, and then, of course, who we're, positioning for our playoff positions. And, personally, like me, if you want first or last 3, that means you want to win. So not only do you want to win money here, but I want to be towards the ends of the draft. Now, again, if your mindset is like my mindset, then hey, that's what you want to do. Winning is important here. We'll start with that 5th place game, more the bragging rights, and unfortunately, like I said, purgatory, because you end up rematching a game that you played last week. So here we have Chandler Taylor, Austin Allen. This is the game that really matters. This is going to determine your final positioning, because you will move up. Someone will move down in this match based off of your 3rd and 5th positioning. So drafting, where you end up drafting for 2025 is why this match is important. We just talked about it. 3rd place, number 4, Derek Ash taking on number 2, Jonathan Andrews. Who's going to walk away with doubling their money? Who wants that top, or I guess it would be the back end 3 of the first round? Get your turnaround picks. That's why I like it so much. I love turnaround picks. If you're at the first 3, bottom 3 of whatever draft, you're in that zone, if you will, of getting those turnaround picks. Love being the last, last or first, 2 picks in a row. Yes, you have to wait for everybody in the middle, but I love just being able to pick 2 players, whoever I want, right then and there. Super fun. And this year, in this 2024 Super Bowl, my 6th appearance, number 6, final boss, taking on yet another 11-3, number 1, Brennan Dangerous Scala. So, as we have discussed, we will have a new champion. We may, if I were to win, then I would be the first manager in Fantasy Gents history over a decade of play in which I would have had a second Super Bowl. No one has ever won more than one Super Bowl in all of that time. We have had 11 different, excuse me, yes, 11 different Super Bowl champions. No repeats. Can we, no consecutive wins on top of that, obviously. So, will we have our first ever repeat, not repeat, that's a bad word. Will we have someone acquire their second Super Bowl in fantasy, gents? It just tells you how hard it is to get this far. And, or will we have yet another name added to the trophy? Who's going to be the best of the worst? Who is going to be forever unclean? That is what we are here to talk about today. So let us go back to the consolation ladder. We're going to start with our number one game here. All right. That is going to feature number 12, Forrest Dozier, taking on number 7, Brock Hudgens. And I will say real quick, unfortunately, it's a busy week. As you know, I do things solo, and I didn't get the screenshots of the games before the damn Steelers and Pittsburgh game started. So we know a little bit more about these games than we should. I can't help it. I'm not perfect. I've got my family too, so I apologize. I hope the understanding is there. We can still break down these matchups, and they're still very close, whether these games have been played or not. And I will say, I can literally tell you, in some of these matches, I can tell you, like this one, Force was projected 111 points and was projected to lose, and you can see what has happened now that the Chiefs have played. It's still a 50-50 game. It is a little bit in his favor, but it's still a 50-50 game. And who knows which way this is going to go, especially the way Brock has been scoring at the end of the season. But this is why, though. This is why, Brock, you don't underestimate the Grand Wizard. This is why Forrest has 2 nicknames compared to the rest of us, because he does things you do not expect him to do. And this year has been the example year. If we needed anything that comes out of my mouth to be proven accurate, other than the fantastic statistical knowledge that does spew every day, let me be honest, right? Unfounded, okay? Brock, you do the Cinderella run. We talked about being 0-6 and having something to fight for. What did you give me, okay? Forrest, everyone wrote you off. I wrote you off, and you have... you're competing for the best of the worst, and a top 3 pick in 2025. I mean, everyone expected you to be where Jack and Josh were come week 17. I mean, if you had any wins at all. So, I'm an example. I'm a number 6 seed, and I'm in a championship game. So, if you needed examples of the way fantasy football, all the things that can happen, here you go. Welcome to the Fantasy League of Ordinary Gentlemen. Back on target. We're gonna see that you're back up to 128 on your projection here. Drake May still sitting at quarterback. I do see that Bo Nix is still on the bench. I imagine that will change. Aaron Jones, Alexander Madison, Green, tough defense, taper expectation with Jones here, but Madison should have a great day against New Orleans. We already saw Xavier Worthy having a great day, 8 receptions, 79 yards, saving your day, your game. Gonna make this a game, gonna make Brock Hudgens, if he's gonna beat you, he's gonna have to score 150 plus points. Why not? Why not start Booty? He's got a great last name. He saved you last week. Keep it going. Travis Kelce, exactly what you drafted him to do. Can he get it done here in the finals? Kendre Miller, I do see that you were able to make a pickup for Bigsby. Both matchups are decent. Las Vegas playing a little better defense, though. Keep that in mind. Kansas City's defense here. And then Jake Elliott, the kicker against Dallas. I thought you dropped him. And maybe you picked him back up, but I just can't imagine anyone wanting to start Elliott in the finals. He cannot make field goals. Keep that in mind for us when you play this game. Yeah, so this game, it's going to be close. I mean, we're looking at right now a 2-point difference in projection, which of course means when you're anywhere like 52%, it's a 50-50 ball game, guys. Sam Darnold gets Green Bay, taper expectation, very good defense here. A-Chain and Dowdle. Now, I do love this matchup. Cleveland is done. They're horrible. We've seen them shut down 2 weeks in a row. Just nothing going on. I love the matchup here with Miami. Dowdle, Philadelphia. The one thing I will say about Dowdle, this is a statistic that has gotten a little better as since they've hit their bye week, but still close to 60% conversion rate allowed to opposing running backs, Philadelphia. So if Dallas can move the ball and if Dallas can get into the red zone, I think there is a chance that Dowdle does score a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, Juwan Jennings, wide receivers 1 and 2. Tyreek Hill has been carrying his injury designation. We know he's dealing with that wrist issue. You need him to have a big game here. Trey McBride, remember the deal. Just remember the deal. We can have volume. You cannot vulture my touchdowns. It's going to be a really interesting ball game now that the Arizona is eliminated from the playoffs. That was just an absolute nonsense game last week against Carolina. And the thing that worries me, and I've said this about Kyler, the dude is one of the few players who, it's not everybody. He's not few. It's just a more common, but he's very outspoken about it, dude. He's here for the money. Okay, I mean, tell me a player that can get away with saying I don't watch tape and then keep their job. And now after this year, maybe that's going to change given the situation. But I need this Arizona team to compete. I need them to be, as go as we can. James Conner's beat up. It looks like he's going to play. He was limited in practice. Really need to see what the injury report on him is going to be. But, I mean, we need points. And the fact that James Conner's banged up here, I think, is a boon for Trey McBride. If they're competitive, and then you would certainly hope against the Rams, hoping to try and keep them out of the playoffs. It's just all the things coming together here. I don't know. This game with Arizona and just personally, I'm more now shifting towards myself. Just Brock, don't take my touchdowns. Okay, that's what we'll say. We'll say that. Mike Evans, big game. Can he have a big game against Carolina? We saw what Carolina team showed up last week. Now again, that's the Arizona Cardinals and their horrible, horrible defense. But Tampa Bay just got embarrassed. So do they come in angry against Carolina? Either way, Mike Evans, I think, should have a great game. Philly defense, Bates the kicker. Force is going to be a fight. You've already started to put one up. I'm sorry I didn't get this would have been a fun game to really talk about had we not known that Kansas City was going to put up what you've put up 40, 50, 54, 55, 56 point, 3 points with 3 people, including a defense. What way to make this game 50-50. We still have to predict who is going to win and who is going to lose. Give me heart of the cards, Forrest Dozier, after this massive Kansas City attack to get a win and be the best of the worst here in 2024 and get his choice. It's going to be the number 1 pick, and it's going to be Saquon Barkley. Don't fucking argue with me, Forrest. You're not fucking up 2025 in 2025. Game 2 of the consolation ladder will feature number 13, Joshua Johnson, taking on number 10, Aaron Felch. Josh, you got the 2 wins that were needed to keep you from being in the Forever Unclean match. I think that's all you need to take away from the end of this season. Wherever you finish, whatever pick you get in 2025, you're walking away smiling. You are like the guy in the Hollywood slow motion film as everything is exploding, just being destroyed behind him. You're walking away and he doesn't even look back. You got the 2 wins. Get a 3rd win. Get a top 3 pick in 2025. You're going to avoid the injuries. You use that to go to a at least playoffs in 2025. Can't say finals because that's where I'm going to be. May have to go through me, so I don't want to have to, we're not going to jump the gun. But start things in 2025 off right by getting it right here in week 17. Aaron Felch, likewise, man, it's not the season you wanted to have. One of the highest scoring teams missed out on the playoffs even after you finished 7-7. Due to tiebreakers that you lost early and, getting outscored. It's unfortunate. But again, a chance to start 2025 off right by winning today, or excuse me, I should say winning this week. So let's go ahead. We'll break this game down. It is not so close. And like I said, it's only one game. So lots of these games are still, up for whoever in their original projections. So, Josh, it's not looking good. Only a 40% win percent chance. My God, say win percent. Win percent. My God, Jared Goff needs to have the 3-4 touchdown days he's been having. San Francisco, we're going to taper expectation, my friend. Jerome Ford, who could be the late season waiver pickup winner. He's absolutely saved your bacon, is the reason you are not in the Forever Unclean matchups. Amir Abdullah did the exact same thing for you last week. Can he continue to do that this week? Puka Nacua, Rashad Bateman. Don't necessarily like the Rashad Bateman play. I get the last couple weeks he was good, kind of let you down. Thank God it was enough in other places last week, but against the tough Houston team here, my friend, keep that in mind. I don't know if he is if he's going to have such a good week this week. It depends on what Houston team shows up. With the way they've been playing, I mean, Baltimore could come in here and stomp, but you can pass on Baltimore. Obviously, you're playing from behind. Nico Collins is healthy. Joe Mixon looks ready to go. So, this game could be a shootout, and it could be, Bateman having a great day. Noah Fant, touchdown dependent. Chicago, very good in the secondary. Jalen McMillan. Now, this should be a fun game to watch. I think Jalen McMillan can have a really, really good day. Can he do it? Can he have this awesome day against Carolina here in week 17? You certainly need him to do so. Seattle's defense and Jacoby Myers, I think that I told you that he was going to be one of my plays this week for whoever I was playing. And I was hoping to play him against Brennan. I think Seattle's going to have a great day. So a good pickup here against Chicago. Myers, the kicker, it is 104. It sure is a low projection against somebody who technically has been scoring very high and technically consistent. It's not been great in the postseason, but it's been enough. Okay, it's been enough. You're one of the teams that could have found themselves in the Forever Unclean match, and Aaron, I think that I don't care who you are, as long as you're not Jack and Aaron Grog, you're just happy that you are in the consolation ladder and aren't in the last round of in the bottom round. Okay, Jalen Hurts cost you a win. Would it have been competitive? Would it have been closer? I mean, we could say any number of things. We know it didn't help you win. So Jalen Hurts, goes out. Will you have him here in Week 17, Joe Mixon. We talked about it, Baltimore. It's the Joe Mixon show. That's why I don't think Nico Collins is scoring the 20-25 points that he was towards the beginning of the season. We didn't have the knowledge. Maybe the Houston didn't have the knowledge that Joe Mixon was just, fantastic. Isaac Gruindo. You're probably looking at replacing your RB2 in this situation. Jaden Reed, tough matchup with Minnesota. Lad McConkey, New England. Can he continue to hit his scoring double-digit points? TJ Hawkinson, you know me when it comes to these tough defenses. I like him here against Green Bay. Kyron Williams against Arizona. Normally, I would think, okay, this is going to be a tough matchup, but easily could hit the double digits in this game. Arizona's defense is just not good. And now, what are they playing for? This is the kind of game that really, really concerns me when you have, look at the Jets. They started off so good in that first half, but as the game goes on and things get harder, and do I want to take a hit? Do I want to get injured? Do I even want to win this game? What's the point? What am I playing for? I'm making millions of dollars, and all of a sudden we peter out, and who gives a fuck? So this is what I'm worried about. And Kyrie, the Rams still everything to play for. Could have a big game here. Minnesota, the defense, Folk, the kicker, 122 to 104. And I do think I am going to go with the projection here in week 17. It just seems that way. But, I say that and I break this down and I see that, Gruindo, that's a rough RB2 situation. Houston, if Houston plays well, the receiving core, Puka offsets everything so much. But, and then the flex play, I am going to go with the projection. I think it may be a little light at the RB2, but then, Puka could put up big numbers, but then the flex play, the tight end play, at the end of the day, I do like Reed and McConkey much better than I like Nakua and Bateman. So let me do a little check mark right here and give me number 10, Aaron Felch, to get the win in the finals over Josh Johnson. We move down the rungs of the ladder. We get further away from the top picks in 2025. But, gentlemen, and that's a big but, you are not the subject of what could be Forever Unclean. We have number 11, Evan Coles, taking on number 8, Jordan Payne. And Evan, you stinky piece of shit. One more week, less than 7 days, and ye shall be forever unclean no more. The title will pass to another user, and we will finally have a new Forever Unclean in 2024, but it's not yet. It hasn't happened yet, so you've got to deal with the fact that we all still remember the horrid stench, the disgrace that you put together last year, and you barely escaped it this year by one round. You barely narrowly escape being in the Forever Unclean rounds this year. Did you learn nothing? And now you're paired up against someone you don't want to be paired up against. That is the waiver surfer. Some may call him absolute fucking legend. I think it should be the waiver surfer, but why digress? Number 8, Jordan Payne, who's just had an unfortunate series of injuries, finishes 7-7, but not enough early in the year to find his way, sneak his way in to the playoffs, is in those top rung ladders, but then has fallen. Thank God it's not enough to put you into that Forever Unclean, Jordan. It could have been a lot worse if you had finished outside the 7th and the 8th seed. So a nice little game here to end the season, knowing that it couldn't be as bad as it could be. All right. Because there's the logical talking, the smooth grammar that you can find here in Fantasy Gents. Let's break this game down, boys, as Baker. Wow, man, Evan, there is an IQ that knows fantasy football in there after all. Baker Mayfield against Carolina. I like the play. Very good. Josh Jacobs and Najee Harris. Now, unfortunately, one of the games that we do have a player having played in. Najee Harris, 10 points. It's not great. It's not bad. People are begging for 10 points here at this end of the bracket. So take your 10 points. You have a little bit over half of a projection, 50% projection here, 54. Still really close. Still could go either way. The game total projection within 7 points. Justin Jefferson and Christian Watson, wide receivers 1 and 2. Taper expectations for Justin Jefferson in general, but then Christian Watson, you can pass on Minnesota. It's their front 7 that's very, very good. So Christian Watson could have a good day here. I'd still be looking for Jaden Reed or Romeo Doubs to have the better day, but who knows? It's just what Jordan Love are you going to get? That's the real question. Njoku, we didn't think he was going to play last week. He ended up having a great day, so it's the last week of the year. It shouldn't matter. Play him and see what happens. Jameson Williams was one of the highest scoring players. I think he was the second. I think he was right behind Jonathan Taylor's 39.8. But Jameson Williams, second highest scoring player last week. You need that kind of productivity again against San Francisco. Taper expectation. Lots of tough defenses here, Evan. And I will say the fact that Najee Harris got 10 points and that gives your projection over 50%. You should be pretty happy. Why are you starting Dallas's defense? You're going to start Dallas's defense. You're going to lose this game. That's what's going to happen because you've done it all fucking year. Stop. Don't do it. Tyler Bass, the kicker here. Jordan. Lots of injuries we're dealing with over here, my man, and not the time to be dealing with them. Josh Allen gets the Jets here, and he's a little banged up. I don't think to the point where we're obviously not going to see him play, but the Jets have a championship caliber defense. It's a good rivalry. Taper expectation here, probably not going to see 25-ish points. Tyrone Tracy, Gus Edwards, both dealing with questionable markers. Indianapolis and New England, who can be stingy. So likewise, when it comes to dealing with tough defenses out of the barn here, A.J. Brown, Dallas. Now this is where it gets juicy. Cooper Kupp, Arizona. You love that. The Dalton Kincaid, it's a wing and a wish and a prayer. So it hasn't worked out all season. If he gets more than 5 points, you're a happy man. Josh Downs coming in at the flex. Woof, brother. That's the kind of year, and that's why you're sitting here dealing with what you're dealing with. And unfortunate but true. Las Vegas, the defense, and Boswell, the kicker, who already played, and 4 points. Oh, not why we took him back after scoring so many points before that bye week. He had like one game that was like that, I think, since then. But very mediocre Pittsburgh's offense towards the end of the year. Maybe it's weather. Maybe it's just the way they kind of have been going. But a bad game against Kansas City. This game is going to be close. This game is going to be very, very, very close. At the end of the day, I think this might come down to, like, is Cooper Kupp going to have a big old game here? I mean, Jameson Williams could have an explosive day. I sure do like the running back core a lot better. Baker's got a much better matchup, but A.J. Brown and Cooper Kupp could win this game outright for you, Jordan. Alas, maybe the shit crusts itself off and it's not wet and gooey, and Evan's able to, dust himself off and finally take a shower so I can look out my window and open it without having to deal with this horrendous stench. And it will be the last time that we have to make these references for Evan. So give me number 11, Forever Unclean, to get a win and get done. Be done with his moniker in 2024 and get back to what he wants to be, what he needs to be in 2025. We've reached the end of the consolation ladder. It is the very bottom. There is no light here. There is scarce food and resources. The people who live down here dishonor themselves. They discredit us with their horrible fantasy decisions and gameplay, and one of them will become the dreaded 2024 Forever Unclean. We have number 14. He finished last in the regular season. Jack Little Raven taking on in his first ever appearance the number 9, your co-commissioner for at least now, hot seat, job on the line, Aaron Grog. And this game is so close. I thought that Aaron would get down here in this match and it would be like 60-40, something like that. No, it is 53-47 in the win probability. It is 108-113. It is less than 5 points. And in that, which was much like all of the games in the consolation ladder, much like all the games, period, this game is going to be close. I cannot wait to break this down. I think we all realized that one of these owners may be here as we moved away from the fact that Forrest was making improvements. You know, things weren't going Josh's way. Things weren't going Jack's way. We'd even make an argument Evan was slipping there for a hot minute. And then watching Aaron Grog fall apart at the end of the regular season and absolutely crumble in the postseason has just been the greatest thing of my life, next to maybe winning this fantasy championship for the second time. Let's break down this shit show of a fantasy football matchup. Number 14, Jack Little Raven. It doesn't look good. Caleb Williams against a tough Seattle defense Thursday night tonight. I don't know if this is the way to go. I know you've been bouncing around, who you should start at quarterback. Jordan Love has not been doing you any favors. He gets a tough matchup with Minnesota. I don't like that any better. That's really rough. I mean, maybe there is a quarterback, and I stress maybe, that you can pick up Mason Rudolph. Maybe, right? That could maybe do something a little better. I mean, Caleb Williams is probably your best spot. He is in the top 20, I will say. He is in the top 20 of playable quarterbacks this week. That's a little surprising, but, Seattle's had some holes, and it's at Chicago, at home for Chicago. So maybe he gets you like 15 points here. Travis Etienne and Jaleel McLaughlin, running backs 1 and 2. And so Travis Etienne, Tennessee, you think he falls in the end zone. Will it be Take Bigsby? One of them is going to get into the end zone. If you're lucky, both, and you'll get, maybe 10 points here. McLaughlin gets Cincinnati. Now, the one thing, Cincinnati is not a good defense. They've looked that way because of who they've been playing. Denver, heartbreaking loss to the Chargers in a must-win to keep the playoff hunt alive. I do not envy Cincinnati this Saturday. Cortland Sutton, Zay Flowers, wide receivers 1 and 2. It's been really good play from both these guys lately. You need that to be the case. The strength of your team is in the passing game. This is where you're going to win or lose this match. You need to have good games. Hunter Henry has been a pretty okay tight end here towards the end of the year. I think that the chances of him getting into the end zone are a lot higher than Noah Fant. We'll pick on a tight end that we've already covered that's going to start for somebody else. DJ Moore against Seattle, if you have to, man. I mean, I get it with the stack. It's the last game of the year. Try not to be Forever Unclean. Fuck it. Why not? I love it. It hasn't done much all year. In a game against Seattle and in Chicago, man, let's go. Let's go, Jack. Get it done, son. Baltimore's defense, Cardi the kicker, 108 the projection. Man, it's going to be close. I mean, Aaron's kind of like hovering. This projection of his is 113. That's right where he's at. He's averaging like 114, 112. It's right in there. You can see it's 130. It's right in between those two numbers. So this projection's pretty damn close. I think if you're going to beat him, you need to score 115. I think that's what needs to happen, and you're not scoring 115, Jack. That's the problem. So you haven't been able to put the two wins together to get away from this match. And I know I'm kind of getting into the in-game analysis here, but this is a stout matchup, even for somebody who's hurting. Aaron Grog. Need I find a new co-commissioner? I cannot believe you are even in this matchup, but God, do I want you to lose it. Every fiber in my being wants you. Every person, just know there is not a single person who is rooting for you in this game. Joe Burrow gets Denver, taper expectation. Rachaad White and Antonio Gibson. Now, Antonio Gibson is a touchdown-dependent RB2 play. However, Rachaad White, Carolina, I imagine he is going to find the end zone. Garrett Wilson and T. Higgins, taper expectation. You have a litany of tough defenses. Buffalo and Denver. Tucker Kraft gets Minnesota. The unfortunate thing is you can pass on them. Jordan Love's, I think, going to check down in this game. Watch Tucker Kraft find the end zone. Nico Collins, Baltimore, we just talked about. You can pass on Baltimore. Houston probably will be playing from behind. Big Nico Collins day. Easily, I think, can score 20 points. Not going to be good, Jack. This is where the majority of his, and it's like, dude, like Gibson is the unknown play here. Which Gibson are we going to get? Garrett Wilson. My God, not Antonio Gibson. My God. Garrett Wilson is the big unknown here, especially against a tough defense. T. Higgins may actually get more looks as Jamar Chase is going to get shut down by Patrick Surtain. You know, those little things. He is banged up. Maybe he doesn't play. That has been a thing for Aaron. But, I mean, the fact the man is flexing Nico Collins, you're flexing DJ Moore. Nico Collins is going to blow DJ Moore out of the water. So, big taper expectation on holding this flex win. It's just not. I don't think you're winning the flex battle. Detroit defense, who's not been good for Aaron. San Francisco, Aaron, I think you're out there finding a new defense. McLaughlin, the kicker. This is a really interesting game in the fact that you have really tough matchups just about for everybody. Nico's got a great matchup. I think that Rachaad White's got a great matchup. Other than that, it's pretty tough. You can make an argument for Kraft, in the fact that, a tough matchup means they're going to get looks. You've got good matchups in the right positions, Jack. Cortland Sutton, Zay Flowers. I do like Chase McLaughlin here. Everything else, Travis Etienne has the right matchup. I have zero faith in Etienne. I think this is going to be a Tank Bigsby day. And so that's why it's not great. This game is going to be close. And as you can see, the projections, 5 points, 50-50. It could go either way. Not one person is rooting for you in this game, Aaron Grog. Everybody, Jack, that's the one thing. You have the people's vote in this game. You have the commissioner's vote in this game. Give me number 14, Jack Little Raven, to get the only win that matters when you're in the consolation ladder. And that is that you win in the Forever Unclean match and do not end up as the worst team in 2024. I want to see Aaron Grog in a dress having to go around South Korea and in front of his army buddies, dressed up with a sign telling us how bad this overrated #FuckAaron is at fantasy football. Our fifth game is the Purgatory match. It's one that we just watched happen, and you're doing like this much movement. It's not a lot to talk about. It's you guys are setting a lineup that meant, last week, this week, you're fighting just for pride. You're fighting for a little positioning in the draft for 2025. There's just not a lot going on in this matchup. I'm not going to take a lot of time to cover it. Forgive me, boys. It's not just to leave you out. We already are at 40-ish minutes anyway, and it's just, we got a lot to cover, and this game just doesn't mean anything. And I will say, if there's anything you can think of that would make this match more meaningful, if you think there's something I can do, to keep a 2-week long playoff match essentially worth fighting for, and making changes, whatever, other than just our rules that force you to play and start a lineup and remain competitive, please let me know. But yes, once you lose in that very, very first round, it's just not a lot to fight for, especially since we don't have the 8 players in the playoffs. Now, maybe that'll change in 2025 when we go back to 16. Then you actually do jostle up and down, and that was a big way. The one thing that's nice about a 16-man team and 16-player play or 8-man playoff is that kind of like the consolation ladder, you do move up and down, and that kind of gives you positioning for next year that's way more important, and you don't end up playing the same person. When you were down to 14, 6 people make it into the playoffs. This very first round, this is what happened. So it was a blowout last week. Austin got you, Chandler, and so again, that one not so much the one that matters. This is the one that's really going to determine where you're gonna draft in 2025. So this is the game you want to win, in my personal opinion, because that means you're closer to a turnaround pick and less stuck there in the middle of the league. So we'll break it down real quick. Brock Purdy, Detroit. It's going to be a tough matchup. Bijan, DeAndre Swift, running backs 1 and 2. They get Washington and Seattle. Tapering expectation. It's tough defenses here late. Chandler, Scary Terry, and Jamar Chase, Atlanta, and defense. I do like this matchup with Washington. I think Scary Terry easily 20 points here. Cade Otton, banged up, has the right matchup with Carolina. Going to need to score big if he's going to win this game for you. Debo coming in. I mean, why not at this point in time? Doesn't really matter. Houston's defense and Dicker, the kicker. 124 is the projection here. Austin, you did exactly what you needed to do in week 1, but you did it in week 2 after you'd already lost. I imagine you were the highest scoring player, period, on display last week. I think you're going to display that again this week. I mean, Jaden Daniels, thank God that game did not happen the week we played. Now he gets Atlanta, so I imagine he's going to just go bonkers. Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, running backs 1 and 2. Y'all are welcome. You didn't have to deal with this in the semifinals. This is just nuts when I say these names, one right after another. Devonta Smith making it onto the starting roster this week with JSN. Love the matchup with Dallas. Taper expectations for JSN in Chicago. Kittle gets Detroit, but the offense clearly runs through him. Jonnu Smith gets Cleveland. Should be a big day. We talked about it. Cleveland, just nothing anymore, at least for the regular season. They're done. They are kaput. Denver's defense and Fairbairn, the kicker, it's 136 to 124. I think this is going to be more of the same. So yes, indeed, give me number 3, Austin Allen, to pick up another win here against Chandler in the finals in the week that it matters. Now we come to the money rounds, and in our third place game, number 4, Derek Ash will take on number 2, Jonathan Taylor, and this game within 7 points, so almost hitting that 10 number. When we start getting outside 10 points, then you kind of think, okay, I have a winner here. But as long as you're within 10 points, as long as you're within that 55%, it could really go. either way, and I think that's going to be the case here. So much to play for. You want to double your money that you spent to be here. You want to find yourself, again, if you're like me, I want to be in those bottom 3 picks so that I get that turnaround pick in 2025. So a game that I definitely am looking to win here, and unfortunately it was heartbreak. I mean, you could argue heartbreak for both of these teams. Jonathan, you were blown out from the get-go pretty much, but then Derek, it was another close game, and unfortunately you now have something in common with Chandler, and that's what happens when you lose by 1 point or less in the playoffs, in the semifinals. And so it's unfortunate that you are defeated by the 0 to hero Brennan Scala, but a chance to remedy that loss with a little cash. So both these owners looking to just find a little money, find a little pride to end their 2024 fantasy season. Let's take a look as Justin Herbert will get New England. Now, I think this is a game that if you look at the game last week against Denver, I think Herbert, can have another good game, but New England has a good defense too. Not better than Denver's. Nice play here. Derrick Henry, Bucky Irving, running backs 1 and 2. One of the reasons that you were struggling here postseason, at least, why it was so close is Derrick Henry hasn't just been scoring these, crazy amounts of numbers. Can Derrick Henry be the Derrick Henry that got you into the playoffs? If you're going to win some money, that needs to happen here. The matchup, Bucky Irving, can he hit his 15-7? I think he's averaging 15 points. So against Carolina, he's got the right matchup. Amon St. Brown, Malik Neighbors, and I definitely had written off Malik Neighbors when Danny Dimes was replaced at quarterback. He's been sustainable. Indianapolis with something to play for. And look how good they looked last week. I will say that defense wasn't crazy explosive, but a good matchup. So we do see that Malik Neighbors is a little banged up. Keeping an eye on that, but double digits is what you need, man. Amon St. Brown, this could be a shootout with San Francisco. It could be a really rough day. It just depends on what San Francisco defense comes out. But we imagine with the injuries on offense, I think Amon St. Brown and the Detroit should have a pretty good control of this game. They're going to have to pass it, at least starting with the game. So Amon St. Brown, I like this matchup. Jake Ferguson, Turd Ferguson, it's a funny hat, gets Philadelphia. Love the matchup. Odunze needs a big game tonight. Okay, got to keep up with Adam Thielen, who is scoring points. Okay, need to keep up with Adam Thielen. Scored 15 last week. Chargers defense, York the kicker, 119 the projection. Okay, now your opponent hasn't been scoring his normal amount of points. Now he's dealing with injuries. That's one of the reasons why he finds himself in the third place game and not a championship game. Kenneth Walker, taper expectations. I don't know if he is going to play. You've got the backup, and the last time he played, Zach Charbonnet just, scores all these points. So exactly, if you have to replace Kenneth Walker here, you have exactly the right person to replace him with. Breece Hall, no injury designation, RB1. I don't know why I started. I just saw the injury and kind of caught my eye. Matthew Stafford against Arizona here. I think this is going to be a big game. The Rams with a lot to prove. And again, you've heard all my concerns here in Arizona. I need Arizona to be competitive. Okay, please be competitive, Arizona. I'm sure you don't want that, Jonathan. Devontae Adams, who has been everything you've wanted him, minus that inaugural week as he came to the Jets. Another 20 points you'd be very happy with. Jacoby Myers almost in an interesting situation if he keeps his scoring to what you would think Malik Neighbors would be. So this will be a crucial. Can Malik Neighbors outscore Jacoby Myers? I actually think he can, but you need Jacoby to score points. He's got the right matchup to find himself in the end zone with New Orleans here. Brock Bowers scored 20 points. You need it again. You need both of these guys to get roughly, I think, 25, 30 points to maintain a win here. Adam Thielen, love the matchup across the way with Odunze, Tampa Bay. I think Adam Thielen gets into the end zone again. He's been a stud. It's unfortunate that he got hurt this season, but if you were looking for consistency against Mr. Consistency, you're absolutely starting Adam Thielen. It's a great play. Tampa Bay's defense, we saw what happened, so not great. I'm not as enthusiastic. I actually dropped them in another league that I'm in. So yeah, Tampa Bay, just taper expectation because they're actually not a really good defense at all. McManus, the kicker. It is, as I said, a 7-point game. This one could go either way, but I do like what I'm seeing with the wide receiver core. I think that Derek has two working running backs that just look a little better. You've got some juicy matchups, I will say, with your wide receiver core, Jonathan, this week. You've got some really good matchups, and believe it or not, Derek's matchups are a bit tougher. Even though that's not a word, they're a bit more difficult. Let's be correct here. We won't know who's going to technically win this game officially until Monday night because we have to wait for that Detroit-San Francisco game, and so many of us have bought in to both of these teams. So we're going to have games that we probably are not going to know the outcome of until Monday night when games are completely over. But I can't wait that long to make a pick. This game is going to be close, but give me the upset. Number 4, Derek Ash is going to take on and defeat number 2, and we're going to have 2 veterans finish in the top 3 and not the other way around. No rookies in the top 3 here in 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is the last game that we will cover in 2024. It is the last game of Week 17. It is this year's Super Bowl 12. It is the championship game. Our championship game will feature yours truly, number 6 in the standings, number 1 in your heart, your Commissioner Joe Johnson, taking on the Zero to Hero in 2024, number 1 in the standings, Brennan Dangerous Scala. And I would like to say that this game was going to be close, but the more we analyze things, the more it seems like it is not going to be that way. As of right now, the projection is 127 to 114. It was a little closer. It was actually within 2 or 3 points, but then the game between Pittsburgh and Kansas City played where George Pickens did exactly what I needed him to do, which was absolutely nothing. He only scores 8 points. It's actually a little more than, it's about 8 points more than I wanted him to score, if I'm being honest. And now the projection almost 60%, 57-43, 127 to 114. And we talk about it. We get outside about that 10 points. We start to trend towards that play if we weren't going to trend that way anyway. It's still a very close game. It is still a very close game against 2 owners who are putting up points here in the postseason when you need to put them up. And have reached, there's a reason why both of us have reached this finals game. Okay? So, do not think that this game is a write-off and we know who's going to win, even though we know who's going to win. All right? A wink. Let's take a moment. Let's break it down for, for Pete's sake. It's what we're here for. It's what we enjoy, right? That's why we've made it an hour into the podcast at this point in time, to find out who is here and who is going to walk away with it. So we're going to start with myself. And like I said, I've been talking about it the whole podcast. Kyler Murray, eliminated from the playoffs last week, with Arizona. I don't know how you lose that game against Carolina. Why is Carolina even putting up a fight? It just doesn't make any sense. It's like, I just hope that Arizona's going to put up the fight that Carolina did against them last week, against the Rams this week. My God, if you follow that, please, Kyler Murray, come out and ball out, because you may be having to make an argument for being on another team and why you should be a starting quarterback in Arizona, period. So for the love of God, come out and compete. I spoke too early last week. Jonathan Taylor, may my words carry through the heavens that you are exactly what I wanted, what I drafted you with my first pick, coming alive and winning games. How many semifinals did this man win for not only myself, but fantasy managers across fantasydom? Please do it again against a Giants team that's absolutely horrible. Chase Brown, this is rough. I'm tapering my expectations. Denver, it's a tough matchup, but Chase Brown, just get me my 13, 15 points. Let Jonathan Taylor do the rest. This is what I need here in the postseason. MHJ and Brian Thomas Jr. I mean, Marvin Harrison hasn't done anything but be a headache and put us on a roller coaster of emotions and wins and losses that are completely unnecessary. So for the love of God, Kyler, MHJ, just do it. Just come together. Come together right now for my championship win. For the love of God, please, just more than 10 points is all I ask, MHA. You get more than 10 points, I'm a pretty good man, because why? Brian Thomas Jr. gets Tennessee, is matchup proof, and is going to win me a championship. I tried to get him in my other league. I was all in on Brian Thomas this year. The trade to get him has saved everything about my season, has saved everything about my postseason. This man will win me a championship. Between Jonathan Taylor and Brian Thomas Jr., this is in the bag. Let's get it done. Mark Andrews has done the fantasy miracle in 2024. We have gone from nothing to being benched. I know he was dropped in other leagues. In my brother's work, at the work league, my brother dropped him. Okay? The dude is winning semifinal matches, quarterfinal matches. Mark Andrews, one more time, baby. One more time, please. James Conner has got to play. He has never made it through an entire season. This is the season he does. He's limited in practice. He actually is practicing. James Conner, don't, it's like, please don't play if you're not ready, but please play. Please come and dominate. You were killing it last year. You are absolutely the reason. I mean, James Conner and Jonathan Taylor are absolutely the reason that I'm sitting in this championship game. Brian Thomas is why I'm here. Without these three players, my team is nothing. Miami's defense, we're going after Cleveland again. I've been hunting them. I've been hunting Cleveland here in the fantasy playoffs. Will Reichert has come alive. and he gets Green Bay. It's going to be a fantastic matchup. I did 150, 179. Come on, let's knock it out of the park for Joe's second Super Bowl. Okay, that's what we're here to do. Enough about me. Oh, it's hard to remain unbiased and remain neutral when you do this podcast and you've made it this far and you're in this matchup with such a great opponent. But standing in my way, number one, there's a reason he had that round one bye. There's a reason he's in this championship. And number one, Brennan Scala is going to say, not so fast, Commissioner. This is your 0 to hero, ready to win a championship, and Lamar Jackson is going to lead the way. And we know what happened the last time Lamar Jackson made it into a championship, and that was he won one for Brad Whitehead, and he gets what could be a great matchup with Houston. And I don't think even if Houston's tough defense shows up, I cannot imagine that Lamar Jackson has a bad day here. So I'm going to try and hold on and weather whatever storm comes my way. I'm thinking like 20 points here. And if it's more than that, then I'm just going to, grab and hold on, because if Houston doesn't show up here, if knock on wood, right? If Houston doesn't show up, if CJ Stroud can't keep this game competitive, I really don't know what I'm going to do. James Cook and Ramondre Stevens, now they get the Jets and the Chargers. Thank God. They're tough defenses, but James Cook has just been cooking. And it may not matter, especially if the Jets get, shut down in the second half like they did against the Rams. Not so much worried about Stevenson, other than just, we'll see what kind of volume he gets, in the game against the Chargers. I really need the Chargers to play good defense. Don't do what you did against Denver last week, okay? CeeDee Lamb, we already talked about George Pickens. CeeDee Lamb gets Philadelphia. And I think this could turn into a shutout. We'll see if the big thing here is, does Jalen Hurts play in this game? And we've seen CeeDee Lamb be completely viable with Cooper Rush. So I need this man who is 100% the reason why you are in this match. I mean, CeeDee Lamb saved you in the semifinals against Derek, and will he be able to save you here in Week 17? We're going to see Dalton Schultz, touchdown dependent. Not really worried about him, especially when Mark Andrews has been doing what he's been doing. Oh my God, Mark Andrews, please, please, please. In the 1 week, I need you more than anything. Do not do anything but shine, my man. Boomer sooner to you, Mark Andrews. Fantasy gods, are you listening? Khalil Shakir, which has not been a bad player, but if I'm comparing him to my flex play, heck yes, I'll take that kind of a matchup any day. And against a tough Jets defense, okay, that's fine. Indianapolis, the defense, which is great defensive play. I knew I should have picked him up. I knew I should have dropped Arizona, and I wouldn't even have to worry about this matchup. I truly didn't want anyone to have Indianapolis. I should have picked him up. It's my fault. It's a good matchup. Brendan Aubrey, oh my God. If Brendan Aubrey scores 21 points and changes the outcome of this game, I'm going to lose it. Oh, but I'm rest assured in one thing, Brennan, and that is you're playing Final Boss. And I'm going to keep it short and sweet because we're definitely about an hour or more at this point in time. You know the drill. Get off my lawn. This is my turn to win my second Super Bowl. Aaron Grogg's going to be forever unclean. Things are going my way or the highway. You're not going to knock me off my perch. I'm scoring 150, 180. We're going to score 200 points here in the postseason. Get the hell off of my lawn. Fantasy League of Ordinary Gentlemen. It has been a fantastic season. Join me next week to find out how everything turned out. One more time, Merry Christmas, and we'll talk about New Year's in the new year. Peace out. Take care.